I think it takes a few to stir up and to help people open their eyes and see what independence really looks like, what freedom really looks like. What does health freedom look like to you? And have you really thought about it? And do you really feel free? Wheatgrass is incredible for our health. Did you know that just 1 cup of watermelon contains about 5 ounces of water?
You're listening to the Visibly Fit podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a naturopath, fitness expert, and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to the Visibly Fit podcast. I'm your host, Wendie Pett. Hope you are doing amazing. Listen, I'm curious. What does freedom look like for you? That's a loaded question, I know. And you are listening to this live time. If you are, we just celebrated 4th of July, Independence Day here in the U.S. And I'm wearing my 4th of July shirt. You know, that shirt that you have in your closet that you can only wear one time a year. Well, this is it. So I am making the most of it. Anyway, I hope you had a wonderful celebration. It was actually rainy and not the best conditions here in Minnesota. Actually, a lot of flooding and a lot of the firework displays were canceled. So it was just kind of a weird year. In fact, we were supposed to go over to some dear friends of ours for the 4th of July, but it got canceled as well. So there you go. You can't really hang out by the pool when it's rainy and not the best weather. But other places were experiencing high levels of heat, right? Like major heat wave. So depending on where you live and the conditions, I guess, help to determine what kind of 4th of July you had. Now, I'm not a major history buff, but I do dig in from time to time. And we all know that, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams and a few of the other guys were all involved with writing the Declaration of Independence back in 1776. And I think it's fascinating when I was digging in a little bit more to find out that Thomas Jefferson, I think, wanted the holiday to be on July 2nd, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe I need to dig in a little bit more. I think it was John Adams that wanted the holiday to be celebrated every year and commenced on July 2nd, and Thomas Jefferson wanted it July 4th. I believe that's the case. But I think back and I think about the freedom that the 4th of July, Independence Day, expresses, right? And back in the day, right, when the Revolutionary War was taking place and the 13 colonies were under the rule of Great Britain, basically, there were only a few of the colonists that wanted to be independent and have that independence. And I find that fascinating because I think sometimes, even now today, we get caught up in the system, so to speak, and we kind of get just used to how things are going, being governed a certain way or being controlled a certain way. And it just kind of is the way it is. And so sometimes I think it takes a few to stir up and to help people open their eyes and see what independence really looks like, what freedom really looks like. Now, I want to give you just a couple definitions of freedom. Freedom is the condition of not being in prison or captivity. Number 2, being free of restraints, especially the ability to act without control or interference by another or by a circumstance. And number 3, not being controlled by another nation or political power, having political independence. Now, all 3 of these ring true, of course, for the word freedom, but I want to kind of shift it a little bit and talk about freedom in the sense of health freedom. Because without getting too political or getting too into the weeds, so to speak, with the word freedom and with where our country is and with other countries and where they are with their health freedoms, I just kind of want to ask you as an individual, what does health freedom look like to you? And have you really thought about it? And do you really feel free? Do you think think you're free, but maybe you're not? Are you being intentional about your health freedom? Are you maybe planting a garden so that you can have more control over your food? You know, speaking of, the system, we can get caught up in the ease of going to the grocery store, getting our own foods anytime we want, right? Like, just it's so easy. I mean, that's how we do it. I'm not saying we just live off the land. I'm saying that I do have a garden. It's a small one. I'd like to have a larger one. But I feel like there's a need. I feel like there's a shift. These few colonists that wanted independence, that saw the vision of what that would look like and what that would mean. I believe we're on the cusp of that, or even beyond that. I believe that there is a shift happening, and I want to encourage you to kind of, I guess, dissect the word freedom for you, and really look around with open eyes and really dig in to find out, are we really in a place of freedom and health freedom? And if you're fine with where you are, then okay. But I would definitely encourage you to dig deeper and discover more. I believe we're on the cusp of doing more of community gardens, for instance, since I asked you, do you have a garden? Community gardening, being more into a smaller community so that we can be resourceful and not rely on, let's just say, big pharma or the food industry or whatever, right? I believe that is really happening. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. And I'm excited about it. And I believe that we all have different gifts and talents in a small community. Oh my goodness, they can get stuff done. So I want you to start seeing freedom and independence in your own life and asking yourself, am I really free? And if not, can I kind of catch the vision of standing firm and leaning in on what's really going on in the world, and how can you play a part in making freedom and independence a reality in all areas, not just not just political independence. And right now I wouldn't say that that's really so independent either. Anyhow, we're going to get on a rabbit trail if I go there, but let's talk again, health freedom. Since we just celebrated 4th of July, Independence Day, I always think of different things on the 4th of July. What do you think of? I think of family and friends and grilling out, and I think of grass. I know that sounds weird, but not the kind you smoke, but the kind you sit on when you go and watch the fireworks. So I think of fireworks. I think of watermelon. I think of different things like that just make me, I think of sparklers, right? I think of the flag, the American flag. And I'm just curious, what do you think about? Because I get a big picture of that celebration. I think you do too. I think we have that stereotypical thought of what the 4th of July independence should look like. But there's a reason I'm bringing up those items that I mentioned, because I want to dig into a couple of those. One, grass. I'm going to talk about grass. Again, not the kind that you smoke. And I'm going to talk about watermelon. Yes, those two things. Again, I want to encourage you to go and start planting your own garden. Start planting things in pots. If you don't have room for a garden, have just different pots on your deck, and grow kale, grow lettuce, grow whatever you want, grow tomatoes. Just start growing something. But you can actually start to plant year round just different herbs. Okay. Like mint and oregano, thyme. You can do rosemary and sage. I mean, you can do all kinds of things. I've done microgreens, right? Those are, that's an easy thing to grow in your windowsill. I've been doing wheatgrass here lately, and wheatgrass is awesome. So here comes the grass part that I'm going to dive into. So wheatgrass is actually, 70% chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is the substance that makes that grass green, right? Well, that chlorophyll is similar to hemoglobin in our blood. So it's that protein that carries oxygen through and to our tissues. And so wheatgrass is incredible for our health. Now, if you have a wheat allergy, wheatgrass is gluten-free because it's before the wheat has emerged, right? Before you know, the actual grain has come about. So you can partake in wheatgrass shots like my husband and I do. But if you have like a grass allergy or a wheat in general allergy, it's not about the gluten, then I would steer clear. Okay. But it's easy to grow in your windowsill, and it's so full of antioxidants. It is powerful. It is great for helping to regulate blood sugars. It's helpful to reduce cholesterol. Again, it's powerful superfood full of antioxidants, and it's an anti-inflammatory, right? So it is a great thing to bring into your daily mix. Now, y'all know I'm a big fan of my green drink. And if you have not received that green drink recipe, make sure you go to wendiepett.com. You can find it there. Also, you can find it at liveimmune.com. So make sure you get that recipe. Anyway, I add a couple of, I'll take fresh ginger and mix that with water and some lemon juice, some fresh lemon, and blend it in the Vitamix. And I put it in like an ice tray. Okay. So I'll pop out like 2 of those and throw that in with my wheatgrass along with some water, blend it up, and you've got a beautiful shot. Now it's a little strong on my end on the ginger, but I like it that way. The ginger is also a powerful antioxidant. It helps aid in digestion. It's also an incredible anti-inflammatory. It helps, with I already said digestion, but also helps with just overall health. It helps to boost your immune system. So there's a lot of great things that ginger can add to the mix. So I bring in that ginger, the water, and the wheatgrass, and that is a beautiful healthy shot that you can do almost on a daily basis. So if you want to grow some wheatgrass in your windowsill, that's a great thing to do. You just put up, just put the seeds in the windowsill. I use, what is the brand that I have my little box in the window? I think it's Zesty Greens. I don't know. I'm not even sure. If so, check it out. I don't get paid or have a promotion with them or any kind of affiliate, but it's Zesty Greens. I believe that is it. And they have like a little wooden box. They give you a hemp little mat that you can put in that little wooden box, and then you put the seeds there, add water, and 7 to 10 days, you've got yourself either microgreens or wheatgrass. It's super simple and something you can do all year round. And I actually got that as a gift, and I was so glad that I did because it's something I've wanted for a long time. You can get these kind of things anywhere, even at Home Depot, right? Like you don't have to go to Zesty Greens, but the power of a wheatgrass shot is huge for your health. So that's what I wanted to share with you as it pertains to the 4th of July and Independence Day. What I think of when I think of grass and fireworks and watermelon and family and friends and grilling. But yes, let's get off of the grass subject and go to the watermelon. Yes, watermelon. How many of you associate Independence Day with watermelon? Yeah. Watermelon is one of those staple foods that most people have at their cookouts or their grillings over this holiday timeframe. But there's a reason. There's a reason. Number one is it helps support and keeps you hydrated. Like there's a reason that it's called a watermelon. Yeah, like seriously, it keeps you hydrated. Did you know that just 1 cup of watermelon contains about 5 ounces of water? Yeah. So if you are living in the area where you're having that heat wave, well, watermelon is a great thing to give to the kids, give to the elderly. We used to give my mother-in-law a watermelon a lot to make sure she stayed hydrated, right? Because sometimes they don't drink enough water. But like anything else, you don't want to overdo it, especially if someone is pre-diabetic or diabetic, because watermelon is on the uh, glycemic index, and it's high on the glycemic index. Okay, but it is a great way to stay hydrated. And of course, we know that water is our best choice, but um, watermelon is a good second, right? It's a good thing to offer on a hot day. And watermelon helps to remove toxins from the body. It helps to lubricate the joints. Watermelon can even help regulate the body's temperature. So on a hot day, there you go. Not only is it hydrating, but that hydration helps to regulate the body temperature, but it also helps with your mind. It helps with your cognitive health, because if we are dehydrated, we don't think so clearly, right? So watermelon can help with that. But I love just, I don't know, as a kid, we used to have watermelon seed spitting contest. I don't know if that's just a Texas thing or if that's something that a lot of people do, but that was always fun. How far can you spit those black seeds? How many of you do the watermelon seed spitting contest? I would love to hear from you. Yes, but watermelon is good for you. It also helps to lower blood pressure. Yeah, it does. And it helps to support circulation in your body. Again, it's regulating your body temperature, hence the circulation, your blood circulation. It supports your heart health. It does a lot more than you realize. It doesn't just taste great, but here's the cool thing too. A lot of athletes will eat watermelon or even drink watermelon juice before they do a major athletic feat. There was actually a study in 2019, and these researchers asked people to drink about 16 ounces of watermelon juice um, before they ran a marathon, like 2 hours before they ran. Now, it's really rich in L-citrulline. And so that L-citrulline actually helps so your muscles don't stay so sore. Because, after you work out really hard, there's that soreness in your muscles. Well, the L-citrulline helps to improve that artery function and helps to improve the circulation and helps to diminish that muscle soreness. So if you're an athlete, eat your watermelon. That's right. Watermelon also is a great source of lycopene. Lycopene is an antioxidant. I told you it's loaded with antioxidants, but those antioxidants, they help to really combat that oxidative stress. So it's not going to disrupt or damage our cells, those free radicals, right? It helps to combat those free radicals. So the antioxidants in watermelon is huge. So not only does it look pretty when you serve it on the Independence Day or any kind of day in the summer, but it's actually really, really good for you. Now, there's so many ways to eat it. I like to just cut it up, slice it, and eat it plain, right? But you can add it to salads. You can add it to just fresh greens. Just doesn't have to be a big salad, just greens and a little bit of watermelon, and you've got a beautiful salad. You can actually put watermelon on the grill. Have you ever done that? I love watermelon on the grill. I actually love peaches on the grill. Have you ever had peaches on the grill? Oh my goodness, that's so good. That's another fruit to talk about at another time. But watermelon on the grill is amazing. And you can actually just squeeze some like lime juice on top of it and serve it grilled. Or you can actually even just, cut up watermelon raw and put even lime juice on it and serve it raw. And it's just as good. But I also like, you can make salsa with watermelon. And there are some great salsas. Like you can put watermelon and cucumber, kind of just red onions and lime and jalapeno. And if you like cilantro, if it doesn't give you that soapy taste, then that's a great thing to add. But man, watermelon salsa is a great thing to have in the summer as well. And it's good for you, and it's going to keep you hydrated. So those are two of the things that make me think about Independence Day, 4th of July, grass and watermelon. And yes, of course, those fireworks, but we did not get to see the fireworks. So that's so sad. I hope you got to see the fireworks and that you got to enjoy this special time with your family. You know, freedom is really something that comes with a cost, right? We know what our so many brave men and women have endured and not endured, have suffered and died for our freedom. And it's hard to even think about that. But I think about the people that are also dying for our freedom in the health space. And so just know that we're kind of in a battle everywhere you look, right? For freedom. We want our spiritual freedoms as well, right? Now we are fully free in Christ, but there is a battle going on spiritually. And so it's interesting when you kind of look in all different areas of life, how there is a fight, there is a war, if you will, for freedom. And so how are we going to stand up for our freedoms? And what does that look like for you? So I want to encourage you to be bold and to be courageous and to do things that may not make sense, that might go against the grain, because just like those 13 colonies, there were only a few colonists that wanted that freedom in the beginning because they just didn't quite get it. The others didn't understand what freedom would look like, what it would mean. And sometimes I think there's a lot of people that just haven't quite caught the vision. They don't understand what even our health freedom really looks like. And so dig in and do your own research, but dig in to find out how you can be a sounding voice, how you can help in this area. Maybe it's signing petitions. Maybe it's doing simple things for your own individual family freedom. Like I said, planting your own garden so you know the kind of food that you're going to be consuming. Little things make a difference. But maybe you want to start a community garden. Maybe you get that started. So I just kind of want to, have you unpack that a little bit on your own and find out, what does freedom look like for you? And are you willing to go the distance? Anyway, all right, I'm kind of rambling here, but I hope you had a great 4th of July. And I look forward to having you on the next episode, listening to the next episode next week. We did have an interesting topic last week. And this coming week is a psychologist who's actually going to be talking on that same topic of addiction and pornography. And I know that's a little bit out there when it comes to my podcast, but it's something that needs to be addressed. Remember, I said to be bold and be brave and be courageous in the things that sometimes we don't want to talk about or we may need to go against the grain with. And that's something that I'm kind of being bold and being courageous with. So I hope you'll take a listen and hope you'll share it with others. So, all right, God bless you. And thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the Visibly Fit podcast. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com. And thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing, not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a Visibly Fit day.